The sheriff knows that we conduct these tests over here. We're going to be doing quite a bit of full auto shooting for about 30 minutes, and then you won't hear a peep out of us for the rest of the day, but you might get some calls.
For the next 30 minutes?
Yeah, maybe about the next half hour. We're going to be letting it rip pretty good here.
Sounds like fun. Okay, do you mind if I just get your name just for the info column on?
Well, here we are. Another meltdown video, and a lot of folks have been asking for another meltdown, so we've got one that has been pretty much the culmination of many years of research and testing, and you know, we've burned a lot of ARs over the years, but we figure, you know, we're going to throw our own submission into the hat here today.
I'm a little glad and afraid.
Yeah?
Like, I'm curious to see what this rifle speed block does, because I don't think we've ever done a meltdown on an adjustable gas block before. Have we?
No. This is the first time that we've ever done a meltdown on an adjustable gas block. This is the first time we've used a 13.9 inch barrel. Also the first time that we've used a mid-length gas system with a straight tube.
With a straight tube, we may have used a mid-length gas system before.
Okay.
We may have needed to have done a little bit more research.
Right.
But
this is our Argos A115, and this particular rifle is a sweet setup. Which profile barrel is in this one?
So that's a government profile, so it's pretty lightweight, pretty similar to the first meltdown we did. So lightweight profile on the rear, 750 up front, 750 gas journal with a rifle speed RS 7533. So if you guys aren't familiar, I've done one video on the rifle speed block just showing how it adjusts, but it's a toolless gas control that you just reach up and you just spin a dial basically. No tools involved, easy adjustment, and it's pretty robust. It's quite heavy, so I'm afraid of it kind of drooping down the barrel. But this is a 13.9 with a forward controls design, Stoner 63 style flash hider on the front of it, and this is kind of a pin and welded setup. But we've got a...
Well, we won't have anything rotating off, will we?
No, we won't have anything rotating off. But in this setup too, we're running one of the A5 systems, so it's the like Yultor sort of intermediate buffer system. So it slows the cyclic rate down a little bit, smoothens out the recoil impulse, and keeps that lock time where it needs to be for reliable function, especially with full auto fire. But running just a standard mil spec chrome line phosphate bolt carrier that's high pressure tested, magnetic particle inspected, the whole whole jazz. But awesome.
We've done a lot of these tests over the years, y'all, so it's going to be interesting to throw our own admission in here. These rifles are available on our website. Check them out.
Dang.
Argos Ordnance. Chad builds every single one of these guns, and he has an extensive checklist that he goes over, and let's see how the thing runs. Now, in case you don't know, we're basically just going to be running this thing full auto continuously until something causes it to stop, whether the barrel busts or the gas tube explodes. Like, we know something's going to go wrong, but we're just trying to figure out what it is, and we have a lot of data to compare to all of the other guns that we've tested before. So there's some pressure, okay? There's some pressure here for this gun to do well, right, compared to everything else we've already tested. So we are entering some new territory in terms of the components, but that's half the fun, is finding out. So join us in this journey, and we're gonna go ahead and let's kill this thing. We've got PMC 55 grain, 193 ammunition here.
Full spec NATO power ammunition.
Full spec NATO power 55 grain ammo, and these are all fresh Magpul PMag magazines, brand new magazines. We wanted to give us as fair of a chance as possible. Some of the older magazines that I have were getting a little bit worse for wear, and I happen to have some new ones laying around. So let's get this party started.
1,140 rounds. Let's see.
1,140 rounds? You think we can get through it?
No.
How many did the POF do?
Oh, it did the POF, we ran out of ammo. But
that's a much different setup.
That's a much different thing.
All right, so with DI guns, what's our benchmark, I think?
Between about 800 and 900.
It was like 880, I think. Which one did 880? Do you remember? I don't either. We've done so many meltdown videos. All right, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, we're gonna get this party started. Interestingly enough, our anniversary was not that long ago, Brandy and I, and she picked me up an Apple Watch, and I've been checking on my heart rate. My resting heart rate is 67 beats per minute. So we're gonna see what my heart rate winds up being once we're done with this meltdown. We'll check it again near the end, okay? Let's get started. Shut up, you. Get out of here. Okay. All right. Go, go, gadget. Go, go, gadget gun. Here we go. All right, and do that with welding gloves on. All right, meltdown, baby, here we go. That bolt stop is acting a little bit sluggish, Chad. I might not have pushed it hard enough, Chad. That might have been all it was. That barrel was getting really hot. It's glowing. All that working out's paying off. Clear.
Gas tube go?
I think the gas tube went, Chad. I'm gonna try one more mag. I don't want to have a cook-off. This thing is awfully hot, bro. All right. Well, that barrel got cherry red. We're gonna try one more time. Now, if we get one shot, then that should tell us the gas tube is probably gone. Oh, yeah, we're done. We're done. Hang on, we'll look at it, but I know we're done. I'll tell you why in a second. The barrel is drooped all the way down, so I think it's safe to say she's done, bro. Woo! That was a lot of mags. It's a lot of mags. Okay, well that was a pretty interesting result. We went 604 rounds, ended up being our round count on that. Not quite as many rounds as we wanted, but considering what happened, it was to be expected, so we're gonna go over that. My heart rate got up to 139, so my resting pulse was about 67, wound up getting all the way to 139. So it's interesting, like, well, just running those mags, being in that hot attire and everything can get your heart rate going and everything. That's why it's important to be in good physical shape. You're gonna be running around with a bunch of gear on, it's gonna be very taxing on you, so that's just something to consider. The barrel wound up drooping pretty good. And anytime these barrels, you know, this is a relatively skinny profile barrel with the M4 or the 203 cuts in there, so it will get a little bit skinny and whippy, and it began to work its way down. The rifle speed gas block held together beautifully. We're gonna go over some more detail in a second, but because of the additional weight, I think it did accelerate the rate at which the barrel drooped from the heat. The gas tube actually held. We were thinking that maybe the gas tube let go, but because we were getting some double ups there, those last 2 mags that we tried, we got 2 rounds, so the gun reloaded itself and fired again. But Chad was thinking maybe we could have turned the gas up a little more, possibly.
Yeah, I had 3 additional settings on the gas control, and my feeling is maybe there was just a little bit of friction with the gas tube and the carrier key, you know, locking in place, because it was at like minimal gas to operate plus 1 setting where we normally set them for duty use.
Well, that rate of fire is about right.
Yeah, it was great. But I think the barrel droop caused that friction in there. We thought maybe the gas tube had ruptured up near the CMT barrel nut, because there was a scorch mark on the tube right in that area, and it appeared like there may have been just a small slit on the bottom of it where gas was escaping, not allowing the system to function. But I couldn't even remove the roll pin to get the gas tube out. I had to cut it off behind the block. But the block stayed in place. We put Loctite 271 on the set screws, and then we hard pin them, so the block stayed where it was. Now, one thing that I did expect to happen was the plunger that is the point of adjustment for the rifle speed blocks. You rotate the gas control and the plunger goes in and out, okay? It is highly eroded. I mean, there is a big chunk of that is just eroded off of there and was cycling through the system.
And I guarantee you the physical gas port is eroded, you know, to a larger diameter than what it should have been as well. So you're adding a lot of variables into the system, but it's also worth noting that it's important to test variables. You know, you're gonna start adding something to a system, you gotta make sure it's something that doesn't take away from the system. And I think, honestly, that the rifle speed gas blocks are great. I mean, especially if you're gonna suppress a gun, this is a great way to, you know, run it suppressed and have complete adjustability for any weight of ammo you might want to run. And obviously 604 rounds is not a small amount of ammo to put through gun at one given time. I mean, that's still a lot of rounds. You know, you're talking, how many mags did that wind up being?
It's like, what was it, 20 mags?
Yeah.
20 mags plus the 2 rounds out of the other
20
2.
mags. So that's a heavy combat load times 2. So that, if you're talking 20 mags, that's your combat load, and then going back to your 3-day pack and grabbing a bunch of more mags and stuffing your gear full of mags and then shooting them all back to back. You know, I think if you're still in trouble after that many rounds, you've probably got a bigger problem than that gun can handle.
Yep.
Anyway, but interesting result. The DI guns have held up pretty good in the testing. You know, I think maybe we'll come back to this particular gun. We'll try the Argos A115 again, maybe with a like SOCOM barrel or gunner profile, or maybe a little heavier profile barrel, or maybe even a short one, like a little 11.5 or so, or 10.5 or 10.3, like something short.
So I do have an 11.5 inch cold hammer forged barrel that I've got set up in another rig, and it's a medium profile. But I didn't want to use that one for the test because we've done short barrels before and we know they're rigid, and especially if they're a little bit heavier profile, they'll last for quite a while, and the cold hammer forged stuff does exceptionally well.
That's another vote for shorter barrels, in my opinion.
The 13.9, you know, given the current state of affairs with a pin and welded flash hider or a muzzle device, you get that 16-inch overall. And I really like these government cut barrels because they're super lightweight. You know, I like a lightweight AR. I mean, you kind of start losing the charm of, you know, just a normal everyday man's AR-15.
Sure.
When you start adding a lot of weight up front. But there are a ton of different barrel profiles out there, but this is one of my favorites. And I didn't know what to expect with a meltdown with this barrel profile, other than, you know, maybe the barrel drooping and rupturing like we saw in the first meltdown we ever did. But I was actually kind of pleasantly surprised that we didn't have a major failure, and it was just the barrel drooping and maybe a little bit of friction with the gas tube. Not really sure what the other failure point may have been, other than gas port erosion and the plunger eroding as well.
And I mean, I think in some sort of a really bad situation, you could probably straighten that barrel and keep shooting if you had to.
Well, you know, we could just pull a ray and just find a tree and, you know, start whacking.
All right, well, I hope everyone enjoyed today's meltdown video. We always love, you know, testing out different stuff. We've got a ton of different things that we're gonna be doing meltdown videos on, and I promise more are on the way. We figured we'd get back to it with something that is a little bit outside the box. This is a gun that probably you haven't seen before. So maybe now you know about the Argoses, and you know, these are ones that Chad's building here. We've had a lot of requests to melt down a lot of random stuff, and I promise that more are coming. You know, we're working as diligently as we can to get more meltdown videos out for you. So if there's something you want to see, let me know in the comment section below. We'll try our best to figure it out. It's easier to melt AR uppers because, you know, it's adult Legos. You just pop some pins and you're off to the races. So we can test just about any AR upper you want us to, as long as we can get access to it. So just let us know. Anyway, thanks so much for tuning in. Many more videos on the way. We'll see you soon.
See you guys.